My name is Tanya, and I used to study at the University of Aberdeen. I studied business management and sociology, so I did a joint degree. And now I work in clinical research, which not really connected, but kind of sort of has transferable skills from what I studied. And I went back to Bulgaria, so I no longer live in sunny United Kingdom. And yeah, that's the short of it.
Interesting. Looking at your education, what led you to pursue a degree in business management and sociology at the University of Aberdeen, and how has that combination helped you shape your career in clinical research and regulatory affairs?
I initially did not study both of the disciplines. I was accepted only as a business management student, but I believe it was in the first semester of first year, I took an elective in sociology, and I've always had a passion for philosophy and the social sciences. So it looked really interesting and applicable in so many ways that I decided to add it to my existing degree, because there is a lot of interplay between business management and sociology. In business, you work with people, and sociology literally studies human interaction and why we behave the way that we do, what societal organizational processes are the underlying causes of our behavior. And it's been incredibly interesting as a field, and seeing the social and the business reading of the same societal processes has also been quite enlightening. And if you work with people, especially in managerial positions, I say studying some level of social science will be very beneficial in, again, interacting in a more effective way. And at the University of Aberdeen, I really wanted to study abroad. I graduated a language school, so English was the only foreign language I spoke, so I didn't have that many options of foreign universities. And a friend of mine, actually, she also got accepted, so we kind of moved together from high school to university, and we were flatmates
Mhm.
for some of our life there. As for the combination impact on my current job, it really doesn't look like they're connected. And in a way, it's not the natural progression. I know most of my colleagues maybe went into consultancy, KPMG, and the Big Four, but in reality, there is usefulness in this degree if you want to go into clinical research. Not the research bit. There you would need life sciences, definitely. But it's, again, going back to human interaction and working in a large corporation, regardless of your field, first of all, it's very beneficial. But in clinical research, you have a lot of laws, regulations, and even bringing it down to the study level. Each study and each clinical trial has its whole bunch of documentation that you need to go through and understand to a degree in order to do your job. So let's say your protocol, which outlines what we're studying, what's the drug, what's the disease, how we're going to manage or cure it depending on the condition. And this ability to understand and process a lot of information that may be new to you, and teaching you how to research and make sure that you constantly improve your own understanding of what you're doing. That is what sociology taught me, because that's what we did. You study, you read articles upon books, and the transferable skills from my specialty in university really have had a very positive impact on my job and my ability to do it, really.
Yeah, that's very insightful. And looking at the start of your career, how did your experience as an Aberdeen Career Service ambassador and work in local organizations contribute to communication and leadership style today?
I think mainly communication with people. That's what was the like my most valuable skill from that experience. When I was with the career service, we had to talk with a lot of the students and help them navigate career paths. So looking at what the person studied and what their options were. So this ability to effectively listen and hear what the person, not only what they study, but what they're interested in, where their strengths, competences lied, and having this like human connection with someone has really helped me to be able to empathize and hear when people are talking to me, not just listen passively and just nothing happening between my ears. I'd say this has really contributed, and just talking to people regardless of whether they're beneath you or at the same level, just speaking to them as if they're people, because that's how you get results. If you belittle your teammates or whoever really even in your personal life, you're not going to get far. So just making sure you're empathetic and listening, but in a way trying to get your point across in such a way that the person understands your standpoint, where you're coming from, and is more likely to take into consideration what you're telling them rather than ignoring you for the sake of it.
Very interesting. Now, looking at your transition into clinical research,
Mm.
after graduating, you transitioned into healthcare roles, starting with PPD and then moving into site activation and regulatory affairs. What sparked your interest in clinical research?
Well, I very unfortunately graduating during 2020, the height of the pandemic. So that was clinical research was at the forefront of everyone's minds. I mean, I was aware of the field as a thing in itself, but there was media coverage and in earlier trials, earlier years. And I believe even we had a course, it was a sixth century course, I believe, Science and the Media. I don't know if you still have it. I took it as an elective. I was going to say it's not connected to anything, but where we talked a bit about clinical research, but it was very surface level. However, when I was graduating and all of the talk was around the vaccine clinical trials, which again, kind of complex in their, not in their module, but in their testing. It's a whole other thing, but seeing the impact that this had and all of the buzz around it and all of the misinformation around it, because there was a great deal of that as well. And back then I couldn't really tell heads from tails, but currently knowing what I know, it was a horrible experience. But seeing the also the positive effects, because clinical research, that is the point. It's to improve healthcare and to better the lives of people with conditions where we currently don't have effective treatments. We have managing therapies, but side effects outweigh the benefits in some cases. And clinical research is kind of trying to alleviate the burden of diseases on people. And that was my main motivator, like trying to help in some way or another. And also it's a very dynamic field. There's always changes, be it from a regulatory or scientific standpoint. So I kind of wanted to be involved in something that is not stagnant, and there's no way for it to be stagnant simply because of the research nature of it. And that was my main motivator, like keeping my mind engaged and keeping moving, and also contributing in some way to society as well was an added bonus.
Very interesting. And now looking at your current role, which is at PSI, which involves regulatory submissions, ethics committee communication, and cross-team collaboration. What aspect of your work do you find the most intellectually stimulating or rewarding?
um Say the reading part is very intellectually stimulating. My regulatory work is directly linked with the Bulgarian and the European legislation surrounding healthcare and clinical trials. I believe in 2014 we had the new regulation, which is hundreds of pages long. So reading through that was an experience. But like any legislation, it's any European legislation, unfortunately, it is trying to catch all of the countries, all of 28 states, and it's a bit of a mess sometimes. And there we constantly have updates upon updates upon updates, and it's a very interesting to kind of look at it and constantly improve your understanding of the regulatory situation in not only in Bulgaria but in the entire European Union. From my current standpoint, I have colleagues who work with countries outside of Europe as well, and there is a whole other situation. You have even more legislations involved, but I would say that the regulatory frameworks and our countries' regulatory bodies requirements, that really keeps me on my toes. And I have at least one or two calls with the Bulgarian Drug Agency every few weeks, just to kind of iron it out, because we're all learning currently with the UCTR regulation. It's a work in progress. I believe even the European Union are making some tweaks to it constantly. So that is our biggest it's like watching a live stream. That's how I would describe it. And we do have live streams from EMA, the European Medicines Agency. Every few months, I believe they have like an open forum where you can, if you're old like me and you no longer participate in sites such as Twitch, this is your new thing. This is where all the drama is, where all of the questions are happening, and it's what keeps you informed. So I'd say that is. It's at the forefront of my mind always. So I don't think I have space for any other things to focus on most of the time.
Yeah. Well, as someone who reads a lot and who has to follow new trends, how do you stay up to date with regulatory requirements across different regions, and how do you ensure compliance under these evolving guidelines?
Uh, Newsletters are very useful, and thankfully, the European Medicines Agency and CTIS, which is the system that is used for submission of clinical trials in the European Union, they send out to all of the users of the platform. They send us, I believe it's monthly, emails with very useful links and statistics. Additionally, the clinical trials sphere is very, very small in a way, so we know each other, and networking is very, very helpful. You can meet somebody from a different company who's had the same issue you had 3 months ago, and they can tell you, oh no, this is not the most effective way to do it. This is how I did it, and it worked. So that's one of your biggest pluses in this. It kind of shows you things you may have missed, something somebody is more adept into. We have people with legal backgrounds, medical backgrounds, who may have a very different perspective and different read and take on a particular legislation, and they may be more familiar with our current national legislations as well. So that's one thing. And also the EMA site, just going on there and treating it like a journal article suppository. So you go on there and you read as much as you want, and usually it's a good idea to tie it in with your current projects, because learning something in isolation, you're not going to remember it. It's a very, very dry matter. Like I said, it's a legislation. It's not meant to be entertaining. But if you have a particular question and you go with that in mind into reading it, that's the best way to also remember it and realize what they're trying to tell you. So it does require a deal of agency. Unfortunately, you have to want to improve yourself, because otherwise your job is just going to be more difficult than it already is. But yeah, personal responsibility and just taking advantage of everything that is available for us. And if everything fails, you can always call the Bulgarian drug agency. They're not going to be very happy about it, but they will answer your questions.
Mm. Oh, interesting. And looking at your industry, given your multilingual and multicultural background, how has language proficiency and cross-cultural communication helped you in liaising with global teams and vendors?
Um, it's helped me in a way, how to phrase it, to understand subtext mainly. Because currently, not only in professional standpoint, but usually most communication is in English, but being able to speak the language is one thing, but having had organic interactions with native speakers really teaches you subtext and the meaning of particular phrases that may look positive on the surface, but may not be such in reality. It fuels communication. It makes you better at expressing yourself, and it makes your brain work a bit faster in some cases. And when it comes to communication in a corporate setting, subtext is very important. Most of our communication is via Teams or via email, and you cannot catch the tone of somebody's voice, but you can catch the manner in which the text was written. And having experienced this in university, because as you know, we had a lot of emails at particular times of the year, that really honed those emailing skills. You're really going to need them. It just makes you better at talking to people, at understanding them, and getting your point across, which is the most important thing. And also just seeing different cultures, because all of our teams are multicultural. My, let's say, project manager may be from Russia, while my other project manager is from Spain. So kind of juggling different different ethnicities, different cultural backgrounds. If you've not been exposed to this, may be a bit jarring at first and make it a bit difficult for you to relate to the person. But thankfully at uni we had so many lovely fellow students from all over the world, and that exposure and that ability to be able to relate to somebody with a completely different background from you, who is experiencing the same things currently as you are, is extremely valuable, and it makes you a more broad person, more open to different points of view, and it's better for you as well. Because you're not narrow-minded, you're not kind of looking at things only through your little lens. It helps a lot, and it goes a long way in collaborative work especially.
Mhm. Oh, that's very interesting. And in your work, what skills or tools have been most essential in managing regulatory documentation and maintaining accuracy across submissions?
Mm, Organizational skills, being able to keep track of your time, especially keeping track of your time. Um, Unfortunately, we have deadlines, and due to the nature of this particular field, there is a lot of money involved, as is usually the case with clinical trials. And delays are not. They're not good for anybody. We're losing money. The sponsor's losing money. And going back to my business degree, that was one of the main things, that it's our job is kind of to make money. That's the crux of it. So being able to effectively manage one's time, that is your one and only skill, that if everything else fails, if you have this, you're going to get somewhere. Organization is also exceptionally important, because you're juggling multiple trials. You're not working only on one thing. And clinical trials usually have a few different clinical sites involved. So let's say we have 5 hospitals working as part of the study. So you need to juggle the study documentation for those 5 sites on top of study level documents, and this kind of schizophrenic nature of of the job. This could be true for many other jobs. I'm just trying to kind of draw from my experience because I haven't worked anything else apart from this. It's really helpful in keeping your head straight and making sure you get to where you need to go as fast as you can. And it makes you feel more confident in what you're doing, because that is also very important. If you're doubting yourself and you constantly have to go back and check, this is going to delay you, and kind of goes back to the time management of it all. Again, those are very, like, it looks like a very basic skill, but when you get to actually utilizing it and using it, that's when you realize that you have so much more to improve. And I'm far from perfect. Like, I get my stuff done on time, but I may cry now and again. So like I said, it's a continuous thing. And again, I've only been working for 5 years, so I have a long way to go to perfecting this. But yeah, that's, I would say, my most valuable skills that I haven't mentioned yet.
Well, in your 5 year so far career, are there any professional accomplishments which you're proud of?
Oh, only, well, I mean, I don't have great accomplishments. At least that's not how I look at them. In my one of my previous jobs, we did lead a multinational team, which was dedicated to working with only one sponsor. So that is the person who pays you to conduct the clinical trial, and is the pharmaceutical company whose drug we're testing. We had to train our team members. It was, I believe, me and one other colleague from Bulgaria. It's been a while. I'm trying to remember most of it, but that was one of my accomplishments, trying to, and achieving, weirdly enough, to get 7 people into a team with no idea what we're doing, what's our plan, only having a broad instruction from the sponsor. Hey, can you train these people to do this and this and this? How are you going to do it? When you're going to do it? That's a you problem. And trying to ourselves create a sort of handbook to teach these people. So this is what we do. This is what the sponsor wants, and this is the system. Have at it, in an effective way to get us all working and being a cohesive team as well. Trying to build this rapport with our team members who had just joined the team. I think one of them recently joined the company as well. So it was a very fresh-faced group of people, and trying to build a team that actually works together well, gels together, and learning what everybody's strengths are, which tasks are their thing. So delegate this thing to this person. Took a year, maybe less, but definitely over 7 months. And we finally achieved the results that we were going for. We met our KPIs, and I was so happy. That was my highlight of my year at that particular time. And that's the only thing that sticks out to my mind currently, because all of my other accomplishments are really uh, just doing my job, essentially, getting us submitted in time, getting the trial up and running. But all of those, I don't really count them as accomplishments in a way, because I don't have much of a choice not to do it. It's not, I cannot do it, but I probably will get fired. Well, not fired, but it's not going to look good to my colleagues as well. So that would be one of the things that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Is there any advice you would give to someone with a business or a non-business degree who is looking to break into the world of regulatory affairs or clinical research?
Looking to break into regulatory affairs, I would say just go for an entry position. You have all of the skills. Like, I made it. I have the same skills. Yeah, business management degrees, they give you this ability to look through documentation and basic understanding of business practices, because at the end of the day, this is involved in clinical trials and clinical research and in regulatory affairs. Being able to process information, effectively communicate, organize your work with systems. Like, these are skills that they're not, I mean, even if you're not great at it, you're going to learn, because like I said, all of the companies have entry-level positions, so you're going to learn, and everybody in the teams hopefully will help you out. And outside of regulatory affairs, again, there's a lot of positions who deal with contracts. So we have contract management, which is the not only the contracts between the pharmaceutical company or the contract research organization and the hospitals and the investigators who conduct the research, but we also have contracts with vendors. So we have the laboratories, the dispensaries, we have a whole other host of services that are involved in the clinical trial, and all of this requires contracts. You have also the financial aspects, the budgets, the budget negotiations, which really it is for a business major. And if you have a background in finance or contract management, that is also very, very helpful in this industry, because from a distance, it really does look like it's very scientific and very life science driven. That is part of it, yes, but unfortunately, there's a whole other scope of activities that are helping this drug get to market. We're not just testing it in a lab with lab coats and that's it. That's all that goes into it. We need suppliers. We need a whole other host of services. So I would say look for job openings that would cover your current skills and help you to kind of get your foot in the door. And I believe some of the bigger companies also have internships. So if you're fresh out of uni, just go for an internship. They are paid, at least the ones that I know of are paid. I don't know. I don't want to give false information here, but yeah, internships, entry-level jobs, or just go on LinkedIn and have a go at it. But nobody should be stopped by the fact that they don't have a biology or genetics or whatever medical degree. Just don't go for the medical degree jobs and you'll be perfectly fine.
Mhm. Yeah. Are there any books or professional resources, career or not career related, that have inspired you along the way and that you would share with students?
Um, Most of them are kind of EMA related. I mean, again, going back to the European Medicines Agency, because for my particular job, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the regulation of it. But outside of it, if I'm looking to just see what's out there, what's happening in the field that I'm not directly working on, I'd say the Lancet has been a very lovely a source of so much information. I actually believe I started reading it around the time of the pandemic, when I was trying to understand exactly what we're doing and how we're going to help this whole situation, because I was cooped inside and I haven't left my flat in a very long time. So I was losing my mind. Um, so that's one of the publications that I would recommend to anyone who looks into kind of expanding their scientific vocabulary when it comes to these things, because it's a hard read at first. Most scientific articles are hard to read, but it does help me kind of understand the statistical analysis and the different modes of research when it comes to clinical research. But yeah, I usually keep it professional, because my podcast and book time is for decompressing. So I try not to mix church and state when it comes to work. I want my Spotify podcast section to be strictly entertainment, no work, because also vetting podcasts is a whole other thing. It takes so much time, and it's easier to just jump to the academic articles they're going to be referencing anyway. Just go straight to the
Yeah.
source, I would say. But if anyone has any interest in podcasts, like you do, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from that. I'm just saying it's not
Yeah.
my thing, but I prefer reading.
And the last question is, what are your favorite memories from the University of Aberdeen or the city of Aberdeen itself?
From the university, oh God, we had the balls. I believe we had the business ball. I cannot tell you which year it was. It was definitely not second, could have been third. It's kind of all mashing together, but that was a highlight that particular year. Just trying to getting the whole business cool. It was not the whole, but a huge chunk of my like fellow students from the business school together, just having a blast. It was a lovely experience, and it was a nice excuse to get dressed up and have a nice party. Those were fun, and all society events in general. I quite miss it, just meshing with all other students and having a lovely time outside of academic hours, because like I said, I loved the studying and the academic nature of it all, but you need to decompress, you need to have some free time, and I'd say having a beer at the bobbin after you passed an exam, that was the highlight. That was truly what brought joy to my life. Especially fourth year when exams were, gosh, it was very, very taxing. And that was one of the fun things. Just sitting on the grass, really enjoying your life at university and kind of having fun with the people around you
Mhm.
was one of the highlights of my particular time there. From the city, it's been a while since I visited Aberdeen, so I do have fond memories of Beaumont Street, but that is pretty much it.